This is a work of fiction. Any resemblance to real events or persons is purely coincidental. This story is purely fictional and does not promote or encourage any form of violence. This is a work of fiction. Any resemblance to real events or persons is purely coincidental. This story is purely fictional and does not promote or encourage any form of violence. I would have lived in peace, but my enemies brought me war. I watched 1,200 of their strongest sons and daughters, listening to a pitiless golden man speak between great marble pillars, listening to the beast who brought the flame that gnaws at my heart. All men are not created equal, he declares, tall, imperious, an eagle of a man, and the weak have deceived you. They would say the meek should inherit the earth, that the strong should nurture the gentle. This is the noble lie of democracy, the cancer that poisoned mankind. His eyes pierce the gathered students. You and I are gold. We are the end of the evolutionary line. We tower above the flesh heap of man, shepherding the lesser colors. You have inherited this legacy. He pauses, studying faces in the assembly. But it is not free. Power must be claimed, wealth won, rule, dominion, empire, purchased with blood. You scarless children deserve nothing. You do not know pain. You do not know what your forefathers sacrificed to place you on these heights. But soon you will. Soon we will teach you why gold rules mankind. And I promise, of those among you, only those fit for power will survive. But I am no gold. I am a red. He thinks men like me weak. He thinks me dumb, feeble, subhuman. I was not raised in palaces. I did not ride horses through meadows and eat meals of hummingbird tongues. I was forged in the bowels of this hard world, sharpened by hate, strengthened by love. He is wrong. None of them will survive. Part 1. Slave. There is a flower that grows on Mars. It is red and harsh and fit for our soil. It is called Hemanthus. It means blood blossom. Chapter 1. Helldiver. The first thing you should know about me is I am my father's son. And when they came for him, I did as he asked. I did not cry, not when the society televised the arrest, not when the Golds tried him, not when the Greys hanged him. Mother hit me for that. My brother Kieran was supposed to be the stoic one. He was the elder, I the younger. I was supposed to cry. Instead, Kieran bawled like a girl when little Io tucked a Hemanthus into father's left work boot and ran back to her own father's side. My sister, Liana, murmured a lament beside me. I just watched and thought it a shame that he died dancing, but without his dancing shoes. On Mars, there is not much gravity, so you have to pull the feet to break the neck. They let the loved ones do it. I smell my own stink inside my fry suit. The suit is some kind of nanoplastic and is hot, as its name suggests. It insulates me toe to head. Nothing gets in, nothing gets out, especially not the heat. Worst part is you can't wipe the sweat from your eyes. Bloody damn stings as it goes through the headband to puddle at the heels. Not to mention the stink when you piss, but you always do. Gotta take in a load of water through the drink tube. I guess you could be fit with a catheter. We choose the stink. The drillers of my clan chatter some gossip over the comm in my ear as I ride atop the claw drill. I'm alone in this deep tunnel, on a machine built like a titanic metal hand, one that grasps and gnaws at the ground. I control its rock-melting digits from the holster seat atop the drill, just where the elbow joint would be. There my fingers fit into control gloves that manipulate the many tentacle-like drills some 90 meters below my perch. To be a helldiver, They say your fingers must flicker fast as tongues of fire. Mine flicker faster. Despite the voices in my ear, I am alone in the deep tunnel. My existence is vibration, the echo of my own breath, and heat so thick and noxious it feels like I'm swaddled in a heavy quilt of hot piss. A new river of sweat breaks through the scarlet sweatbands tied around my forehead and slips into my eyes, burning them till they're as red as my rusty hair. I used to reach and try to wipe the sweat away, only to scratch futilely at the faceplate of my fry suit. I still want to, even after 3 years. The tickle and sting of the sweat is a raw misery. The tunnel walls around my holster seat are bathed a sulphurous yellow by a corona of lights. The reach of the light fades as I look up the thin vertical shaft I've carved today. Above, precious helium-3 glimmers like liquid silver. But I'm looking at the shadows, looking for the pit vipers that curl through the darkness, seeking the warmth of my drill. They'll eat into your suit, too, bite through the shell and then try to burrow into the warmest place they find, usually your belly, so they can lay their eggs. I've been bitten before. Still dream of the beast, black, like a thick tendril of oil. They can get as wide as a thigh and as long as 3 men, but it's the babies we fear. They don't know how to ration their poison, like me. Their ancestors came from Earth. Then Mars and the deep tunnels changed them. It is eerie in the deep tunnels, lonely. Beyond the roar of the drill, I hear the voices of my friends, all older. But I cannot see them a half-click above me in the darkness. They drill high above, near the mouth of the tunnel that I've carved, descending with hooks and lines, to dangle along the sides of the tunnel, to get at the small veins of helium-3. They mine with meter-long drills, gobbling up the chaff. The work still requires mad dexterity of foot and hand. But I'm the earner in this crew. I am the hell diver. It takes a certain kind, and I'm the youngest anyone can remember. I've been in the mines for 3 years. You start at 13, old enough to screw, old enough to crew. At least that's what Uncle Narrell said. Except I didn't get married till 6 months back, so I don't know why he said it. EO dances through my thoughts as I peer into my control display and slip the claw drill's fingers around a fresh vein. EO. Sometimes it's difficult to think of her as anything but what we used to call her as children. Little EO, a tiny girl, hidden beneath a mane of red. Red like the rock around me. Not true red, rust red. Red like our home, like Mars. EO is 16 too, and she may be like me from a clan of red earth diggers, a clan of song and dance and soil. But she could be made from air from the ether that binds the stars in a patchwork. Not that I've ever seen stars. No red from the mining colonies sees the stars. Little EO. They wanted to marry her off when she turned 14, like all girls of the clans. But she took the short rations and waited for me to reach 16. Wed age for men, before slipping that cord around her finger. She said she knew we'd marry since we were children. I didn't. Hold, hold, hold. Uncle Narrell snaps over the comm channel. Darrow, hold, boy. My fingers freeze. He's high above with the rest of them, watching my progress on his head unit. What's the burn? I ask, annoyed. I don't like being interrupted. What's the burn, Mum? The little helldiver asks. Old Barlow chuckles. Gas pocket, that's what. Narell snaps. He's the head talk for our 200-plus crew. Hold. Call in a scan crew to check the particulars before you blow us all to hell. That gas pocket, it's a tiny one, I say. More like a gas pimple. I can manage it. A year on the drill and he thinks he knows his head from his hole. Poor little pissant. old Barlow adds dryly. Remember the words of our golden leader? Patience and obedience, young one. Patience is the better part of valor, and obedience the better part of humanity. Listen to your elders. I roll my eyes at the epigram. If the elders could do what I can, maybe listening would have its merits, but they are slow in hand and mind. Sometimes I feel like they want me to be just the same, especially my uncle. I'm on a tear, I say. If you think there's a gas pocket, I can just hop down and hand scan it easy. No dilly-dally. They'll preach caution, as if caution has ever helped them. We haven't won a laurel in ages. Want to make EO a widow? Barlow laughs, voice crackling with static. Okay by me. She's a pretty little thing. Drill into that pocket and leave her to me. Old and fat I be, but my drill still digs a dent. D. A chorus of laughter comes from the 200 drillers above. My knuckles turn white as I grip the controls. Listen to Uncle Gnarl, Darrow. Better to back off till we can get a reading, my brother Kieran adds. He's 3 years older. Makes him think he's a sage, that he knows more. He just knows caution. There'll be time. Time? Hell, it'll take hours, I snap. They're all against me in this. They're all wrong and slow and don't understand that the laurel is only a bold move away. More they doubt me. You are being a coward, Narrow. Silence on the other end of the line. Calling a man a coward, not a good way to get his cooperation. Shouldn't have said it. I say make the scan yourself. Lauren, my cousin and Narelle's son, squawks. Don't. And Gamma is good as gold. They'll get the laurel for, the 100th time. The laurel. 24 clans in the underground mining colony of Lycos. 1 laurel per quota. It means more food than you can eat. It means more burners to smoke. Imported quilts from Earth. Amber swill with the society's quality markings. It means winning. Gamma Clan has had it since anyone can remember, so it's always been about the quota for us lesser clans, just enough to scrape by. EO says the laurel is the carrot the society dangles, always just far enough beyond our grasp, just enough so we know how short we really are and how little we can do about it. We're supposed to be pioneers. EO calls us slaves. I just think we never try hard enough. Never take the big risks because of the old men. Lauren, shut up about the laurel. Hit the gas and we'll miss all the bloody damn laurels till kingdom come, boy. Uncle Narrow growls. He's slurring. I can practically smell the drink through the comm. He wants to call a censor team to cover his own ass, or he's scared. The drunk was born pissing himself out of fear. Fear of what? Our overlords, the Golds, their minions, the Greys. Who knows? Few people. Who cares? Even fewer. Actually, just one man cared for my uncle, and he died when my uncle pulled his feet. My uncle is weak. He is cautious and immoderate in his drink, a pale shadow of my father. His blinks are long and hard, as though it pains him to open his eyes each time and see the world again. I don't trust him down here in the mines, or anywhere for that matter, but my mother would tell me to listen to him. She would remind me to respect my elders, even though I am wed, even though I am the hell diver of my clan. She would say that my blisters have not yet become calluses. I will obey, even though it is as maddening as the tickle of the sweat on my face. Fine, I murmur. I clench the drill fist and wait as my uncle calls it in from the safety of the chamber above the deep tunnel. This will take hours, I do the math. 8 hours till whistle call. To beat Gamma, I've got to keep a rate of 156, 5 kilos an hour. It'll take 2.5 hours for the scan crew to get here and do their deal at best. So I've got to pump out 227.6 kilos per hour after that. Impossible. But if I keep going and squab the tedious scan, it's hours. I wonder if Uncle Neril and Barlow know how close we are. Probably. Probably just don't think anything's ever worth the risk. Probably think divine intervention will squab our chances. Gamma has the laurel. That's the way things are and will ever be. We of Lambda just try to scrape by on our foodstuffs and meager comforts. No rising, no falling. Nothing is worth the risk of changing the hierarchy. My father found that out at the end of a rope. Nothing is worth risking death. Against my chest, I feel the wedding band of hair and silk dangling from the cord around my neck, and think of Yo's ribs. I'll see a few more of the slender things through her skin this month. She'll go asking the Gamma families for scraps behind my back. I'll act like I don't know. But we'll still be hungry. I eat too much because I'm 16 and still growing tall. Yo lies and says she's never got much of an appetite. Some women sell themselves for food or luxuries to the tin pots. Greys, to be technic about it, the society's garrison troops of our little mining colony. She wouldn't sell her body to feed me, would she? But then I think about it. I'd do anything to feed her. I look down over the edge of my drill. It's a long fall to the bottom of the hole I've dug. Nothing but molten rock and hissing drills. But before I know what's what, I'm out of my straps, scanner in hand, and jumping down the 100-meter drop toward the drill fingers. I kick back and forth between the vertical mineshaft's walls and the drill's long, vibrating body to slow my fall. I make sure I'm not near a pit viper nest when I throw out an arm to catch myself on a gear just above the drill fingers. The 10 drills glow with heat. The air shimmers and distorts. I feel the heat on my face, feel it stabbing my eyes, feel it ache in my belly and balls. Those drills will melt your bones if you're not careful, and I'm not careful, just nimble. I lower myself hand over hand, going feet first between the drill fingers so I can lower the scanner close enough to the gas pocket to get a reading. The heat is unbearable. This was a mistake. Voices shout at me through the comm. I almost brush one of the drills as I finally lower myself close enough to the gas pocket. The scanner flickers in my hand as it takes its reading. My suit is bubbling and I smell something sweet and sharp like burned syrup. To a helldiver, it is the smell of death. Chapter 2. The Township. My suit can't handle the heat down here. The outer layer has nearly melted through. Soon, the second layer will go. Then the scanner blinks silver, and I've got what I came for. I almost didn't notice. Dizzy and frightened, I pull myself away from the drills. Hand over hand, I tug my body up, going fast, away from the dreadful heat. Then something catches. My foot is jammed just underneath one of the gears near a drill finger. I gasp down air in sudden panic. The dread rises in me. I see my boot heel melting. The first layer goes, the second bubbles. Then it will be my flesh. I force a long breath and choke down the screams that are rising in my throat. I remember the blade. I flip out my hinged sling blade from its black holster. It's a cruelly curved cutter as long as my leg, meant for taking off and cauterizing limbs stuck in machinery, just like this. Most men panic when they get caught, and so the sling blade is a nasty half-moon weapon meant to be used by clumsy hands. Even filled with terror, my hands are not clumsy. I slice 3 times with the sling blade, cutting nanoplastic instead of flesh. On the third swing, I reach down and jerk free my leg. As I do, my knuckles brush the edge of a drill. Searing pain shoots through my hand. I smell crackling flesh, but I'm up and off, climbing away from the hellish heat, climbing back to my holster seat and laughing all the while. I feel like crying. My uncle was right. I was wrong. But I'll be damned if I ever let him know it. "Idiot," is his kindest comment. "Manic," Bloody damn manic, Lauren whoops. Minimal gas, I say. Drilling now, uncle. The haulbacks take my pull when the whistle call comes. I push myself out of my drill, leaving it in the deep tunnel for the night shift, and snag a weary hand on the line the others drop down the kilometer-long shaft to help me up. Despite the seeping burn on the back of my hand, I slide my body upward on the line booty till I'm out of the shaft. Kieran and Lauren walk with me to join the others at the nearest grav lift. Yellow lights dangle like spiders from the ceiling. My clan and Gamma's 300 men already have their toes under the metal railing when we reach the rectangular grav lift. I avoid my uncle. He's mad enough to spit and catch a few dozen pats on the back for my stunt. The young ones like me think we've won the laurel. They know my raw helium-3 pull for the month. It's better than Gamma's. The old turds just grumble and say we're fools. I hide my hand and duck my toes in. Gravity alters and we shoot upward. A Gamma scab with less than a week's worth of rust under his nails forgets to put his toes under the railing, so he hangs suspended as the lift shoots up 6 vertical kilometers. Ears pop. Got a floating Gamma turd here, Barlow laughs to the lambdas. Petty as it may seem, it's always nice to see a Gamma squab something. They get more food, more burners, more everything because of the laurel. We get to despise them, but then we're supposed to, I think. Wonder if they'll despise us now. Enough's enough. I grip the rust-red nanoplastic of the kid's fly suit and jerk him down. Kid. That's a laugh. He's hardly 3 years younger than I. He's deathly tired, but when he sees the blood red of my fly suit, he stiffens, avoids my eyes, and becomes the only one to see the burn on my hand. I wink at him, and I think he shits his suit. We all do it now and then. I remember when I met my first hell diver. I thought he was a god. He's dead now, up top, in the staging depot, a big gray cavern of concrete and metal. We pop our tops and drink down the fresh, cold air of a world far removed from molten drills. Our collective stink and sweat soon make a bog of the area. Lights flicker in the distance, telling us to stay clear of the magnetic horizon tram tracks on the other side of the depot. We don't mingle with the Gammas as we head for the horizon tram in a staggered line of rust-red suits, half with Lambda Ls, half with Gamma canes painted in dark red on their backs. 2 scarlet head talks, 2 blood-red hell divers, a cadre of tin pots eye us as we trudge by over the worn concrete floor. Their gray duro armor is simple and tired, as unkempt as their hair. It would stop a simple blade, maybe an ion blade, and pulse blade or razor would go through it like paper. But we've only seen those on the holocan. The Greys don't even bother to make a show of force. Their thumpers dangle at their sides. They know they won't have to use them. Obedience is the highest virtue. The Grey Captain, Ugly Dan, a greasy bastard, throws a pebble at me. Though his skin is darkened from exposure to the sun, his hair is gray like the rest of his color. It hangs thin and weedy over his eyes. 2 ice cubes rolled in ash, the sigils of his color, a blocky gray symbol like the number 4 with several bars beside it, mark along each hand and wrist. Cruel and stark, like all the Greys. I heard they pulled Ugly Dan off the front line back in Eurasia, wherever that is, after he got crippled and they didn't want to buy him a new arm. He has an old replacement model now. He's insecure about it, so I make sure he sees me give the arm a glance. So you had an exciting day, darling. His voice is as stale and heavy as the air inside my fly suit. Brave hero now, are you, Darrow? I always thought you'd be a brave hero. You're the hero, I say, nodding to his arm. And you think you're smart, don't you? Just a red. He winks at me. Say hello to your little birdie for me. A ripe thing for pigging. Licks his teeth, even for a Rasta. Never seen a bird, except on the HC. Ain't that a thing? He chuckles. Why, where you going? He asks as I turn. A bow to your betters won't go awry, don't you think? He snickers to his fellows. Careless of his mockery, I turn and bow deeply. My uncle sees this and turns from it, disgusted. We leave the grays behind. I don't mind bowing, but I'll probably cut Ugly Dan's throat if I ever get the chance. Kinda like saying I'd take a zip out to Venus in a torch ship, if it ever suited my fancy. Hey, Dago, Dago, Lauren calls to Gamma's hell diver. The man's a legend. All the other divers just a flash in the pan. I might be better than him. Watch it, Dago. A pale strip of old leather with a smirk for a face. Lights a long burner and puffs out a cloud. Don't know, he drawls. Come on. Don't care. Raw count never matters. Lambda. Like bloody hell it doesn't. What did he pull on the week? Lauren calls as we load into the tram. Everyone's lighting burners and popping out the swill. But they're all listening intently. 9,821 kilos, a Gamma boast. At this, I lean back and smile. I hear cheers from the younger Lambdas. The old hands don't react. I'm busy wondering what EO will do with sugar this month. We've never earned sugar before, only ever won it at cards. And fruit. I hear the Laurel gets you fruit. She'll probably give it all away to hungry children, just to prove to the society she doesn't need their prizes. Me? I'd eat the fruit and play politics on a full stomach. But she's got the passion for ideas. Well, I've got no extra passion for anything but her. Still won't win, Dago draws as the tram starts away. Darrow's a young pup, but he's smart enough to know that, ain't you, Darrow? Young or not, I beat your craggy ass. You sure about that? Deadly sure. I wink and blow him a kiss. Laurel's ours. Send your sisters to my township for sugar this time. My friends laugh and slap their fly suit lids on their thighs. Dago watches me. After a moment he drags his burner deep. It glows bright and burns fast. This is you, he says to me. In half a minute, the burner is a husk. After disembarking the Horizon tram, I funnel into the flush with the rest of the cruise. The place is cold, musty, and smells exactly like what it is. A cramped metal shed where thousands of men strip off fly suits after hours of pissing and sweating to take air showers. I peel off my suit, put on one of our hair caps, and walk naked to stand in the nearest transparent tube. There are dozens of them, lined up in the flush. Here there is no dancing, no boastful flips. The only camaraderie is exhaustion, and the soft slapping of hands on thighs, creating a rhythm with the whoosh and shoot of the showers. The door to my tube hisses closed behind me, muffling the sounds of music. A familiar hum comes from the motor, followed by a great rush of atmosphere and a sucking resonance as air filled with antibacterial molecules screams from the top of the machine and shoots over my skin to whisk away dead skin and filth down the drain at the bottom of the tube. It hurts. After, I part with Lauren and Kieran as they go to the common to drink and dance in the taverns before the Laurel Tides dance officially starts. The tin pots will be handing out the allowances of foodstuffs and announcing the Laurel at midnight. They will be dancing before and after for us of the day shift. The legends say that the god Mars was the parent of tears, foe to dance and lute. As to the former, I agree. But we of the colony of Lycos, one of the first colonies under Mars's surface, are a people of dance and song and family. We spit on that legend and make our own birthright. It is the one resistance we can manage against the society that rules us, gives us a bit of spine. They don't care that we dance or that we sing, so long as we obediently dig, so long as we prepare the planet for the rest of them. Yet to remind us of our place, they make one song and one dance, punishable by death. My father made that dance his last. I've seen it only once, and I've heard the song only once as well. I didn't understand when I was little. One about distant vales, mist, lovers lost, and a reaper meant to guide us to our unseen home. I was small and curious when the woman sang it, as her son was hanged for stealing foodstuffs. He would have been a tall boy, but he could never get enough food to put meat on those bones. His mother died next. The people of Lycos did the fading dirge for them. A tragic thumping of fists against chests, fading slowly, slowly, till the fists, like her heart, beat no more, and all dispersed. The sound haunted me that night. I cried alone in our small kitchen, wondering why I cried then what I had not for my father. As I lay on the cold floor, I heard a soft scratching at my family's door. When I opened the door, I found a small hemanthus bud nestled in the red dirt. Not a soul to be seen, only Io's tiny footprints in the dirt. That is the second time she brought flowers after death. Since song and dance are in our blood, I suppose it's not surprising that it was in both that I first realized I loved Io. Not little Io, not as she was, but Io as she is. She says she loved me before they hanged my father, but it was in the smoky tavern when her rusty hair swirled and her feet moved with the zither and her hips to the drums that my heart forgot a couple of beats. It was not her flips or cartwheels, none of the boastful foolery that so marks the dance of the young. Hers was a graceful, proud movement. Without me, she would not eat. Without her, I would not live. She may tease me for saying so, but she is the spirit of our people. Life's dealt us a hard hand. We're to sacrifice for the good of men and women we don't know. We're to dig, to ready Mars for others. That makes some of us nasty-minded folks. But Io's kindness, her laughter, her fierce will is the yeah that can come from a home such as ours. I look for her in my family's offshoot township, just a half-mile's worth of tunnel road away from the common. The township is one of 24 townships surrounding the common. It is a hive-like cluster of homes carved into the rock walls of the old mines. Stone and earth are our ceilings, our floors, our home. The clan is a giant family. Io grew up not a stone's throw from my house. Her brothers are like my own, her father like the one I lost. A mess of electrical wires tangled together along the cavern's ceiling like a jungle of black and red vines. Lights hang down from the jungle, swaying gently as air from the common central oxygen system circulates. At the center of the township dangles a massive holocan. It's a square box with images on each side. Pixels are blacked out, and the image is faded and fuzzy. But never has the thing faltered, never has it turned off. It bathes our cluster of homes in its own pale light. Videos from the society. My family's home is carved into the rock 100 meters from the bottom floor of the township. A steep path leads from it to the ground. though pulleys and ropes can also bear one to the township's greatest heights. Only the old or infirm use those, and we have few of either. Our house has few rooms. Io and I only recently were able to take a room for ourselves. Kieran and his family have 2 rooms, and my mother and sister share the other. All lambdas in Lycos live in our township. Omega and Upsilon neighbor us just a minute's worth of wide tunnel over to either side. We're all connected, except for Gamma. They live in the common, above the taverns, repair booths, silk shops, and trade bazaars. The tin pots live in a fortress above that, nearer the barren surface of our harsh world. That's where the ports lie that bring the foodstuffs from Earth to us marooned pioneers. The holocan above me shows images of mankind's struggles, which are then followed by soaring music as the Society's triumphs flash past. The Society's sigil, a golden pyramid with 3 parallel bars attached to the pyramid's 3 faces, a circle surrounding all, burns into the screen. The voice of Octavia O'Luin, the Society's aged sovereign, narrates the struggle man faces in colonizing the planets and moons of the system. Since the dawn of man, our saga as a species has been one of tribal warfare. It has been one of trial, one of sacrifice, one of daring to defy nature's natural limits. Now through duty and obedience we are united, but our struggle is no different. Sons and daughters of all colors, we are asked to sacrifice yet again. Here, in our finest hour, we cast our best seeds to the stars. Where first shall we flourish? Venus, Mercury, Mars, the moons of Neptune, Jupiter? Her voice grows solemn as her ageless face, with its regal cast, peers down from the HC. Her hands shimmer with the symbol of gold emblazoned upon their backs, a dot in the center of a winged circle. Gold wings mark the sides of her forearms. Only one imperfection mars her golden face, a long crescent scar running along her right cheekbone. Her beauty is like that of a cruel bird of prey. You brave red pioneers of Mars, strongest of the human breed, sacrifice for progress, sacrifice to pave the way for the future. Your lives, your blood, are a down payment for the immortality of the human race as we move beyond Earth and Moon. You go where we could not. You suffer so that others do not. I salute you. I love you. The helium-3 that you mine is the lifeblood of the terraforming process. Soon, the red planet will have breathable air, livable soil, and soon, when Mars is habitable, when you brave pioneers have made ready the red planet for us softer colors, we will join you and you will be held in highest esteem beneath the sky your toil created. Your sweat and blood fuels the terraforming. Brave pioneers, always remember that obedience is the highest virtue. Above all, obedience, respect, sacrifice, hierarchy. I find the kitchen room of the home empty, but I hear Io in the bedroom. Stop right where you are, she commands through the door. Do not, under any condition, look in this room. Okay. I stop. She comes out a minute later, flustered and blushing. Her hair is covered in dust and webs. I rake my hands through the tangle. She's straight from the webbery where they harvest the bio-silk. You didn't go on the flush? I say, smiling. Didn't have time. Had to skirt out of the webbery to pick something up. What did you pick up? She smiles sweetly. You didn't marry me because I tell you everything, remember? And do not go into that room. I make a lunge for the door. She blocks me and pulls my sweatband down over my eyes. Her forehead pushes against my chest. I laugh, move the band, and grip her shoulders to push her back enough to look into her eyes. Or what? I ask with a raised eyebrow. She just smiles at me and cocks her head. I back away from the metal door. I dive into molten mine shafts without a blink. But there are some warnings you can book off and others you can't. She stands on her tiptoes and pecks me good on the nose. "Good boy. I knew you'd be easy to train," she says. Then her nose wrinkles because she smells my burn. She doesn't coddle me, doesn't berate me, doesn't even speak except to say, "I love you," with just the hint of worry in her voice. She picks the melted pieces of my fly suit out of the wound, which stretches from my knuckles to my wrist, and pulls tight at web wrap with antibiotic and nerve nucleic. "Where'd you get that?" I ask. "If I don't lecture you, you don't quiz me on what's what." I kiss her on the nose and play with the thin band of woven hair around her ring finger. My hair, wound with bits of silk, makes her wedding band. "I have a surprise for you tonight," she tells me. "And I have one for you," I say, thinking of the laurel. I put my sweatband on her head like a crown. She wrinkles her nose at its wetness. "Oh well, I actually have two for you, Darrow. Pity you didn't think ahead. You might have gotten me a cube of sugar, or a satin sheet, or maybe even coffee to go with the first gift." "Coffee?" I laugh. "What sort of color did you think you married?" She sighs. "No benefits to a diver. None at all. Crazy, stubborn, rash, dexterous," I say with a mischievous smile as I slide my hand up the side of her skirt. "Reckon that has its advantages." She smiles and swats my hand away like it's a spider. "Now put these gloves on, unless you want jabber from the women. Your mother's already gone on ahead." Chapter 3. The Laurel. We walk hand in hand with the others from our township, through the tunnel roads to the common. Loon drones on above us on the HC, high above as the gold brows. Aureus to be technic, ought to be. They show the horrors of a terrorist bomb killing a red mining crew and an orange technician group. The sons of Ares are blamed. Their strange glyph of Ares, a cruel helmet with the spiked sunbursts exploding from the crown, burns across the screen. Blood drips from the spikes. Children are shown mangled. The sons of Ares are called tribal murderers, called bringers of chaos. They are condemned. The society's gray police and soldiers move rubble. 2 soldiers of the obsidian color, colossal men and women nearly twice my size, are shown along with nimble yellow doctors carrying several victims from the blast. There are no sons of Ares and Lycos. Their futile war does not touch us. Yet again, a reward is offered for information on Ares, the terrorist king. We have heard the broadcast 1,000 times, and still it feels like fiction. The sons think we are mistreated, so they blow things up. It is a pointless tantrum. Any damage they do delays the progress of making Mars ready for the other colors. It hurts humanity. In the tunnel road where boys compete to touch the ceiling, the people of the townships flow in merriment toward the Laureltide dance. We sing the Laureltide song as we go, a swooping melody of a man finding his bride in a field of gold. There's laughter as the young boys try running along the walls or doing rows of flips, only to fall on their faces or be bested by a girl. Lights are strung along the lengthy corridor. In the distance, drunk Uncle Neril, old now at 35, plays his zither for the children who dance about our legs. Even he cannot scowl forever. He wears the instrument suspended on shoulder straps so that it rests at his hips with its plastic soundboard and its many taut metal strings facing up toward the ceiling. The right thumb strums the strings, except when the index finger drops down, or when the thumb picks single strings, all while the left hand picks out the bass line string by string. It is maddeningly difficult to make the zither sound anything but mournful. Uncle Naral's fingers are equal to the task, though mine only make tragic music. He used to play to me, teaching me to move to the dances my father never had the chance to teach me. He even taught me the forbidden dance, the one they'll kill you for. We'd do it in the old mines. He would hit my ankles with a switch until I pirouetted seamlessly through the swooping movements, a length of metal in my hand like a sword. And when I got it right, he would kiss my brow and tell me I was my father's son. It was his lessons that taught me to move, that let me best the other kids as we played games of tag and ghosts in the old tunnels. The ghouls dance in pairs, obsidians in threes, greys in dozens, he told me. We dance alone, because only alone do helldivers drill. Only alone can a boy become a man. I miss those days when I was young enough that I didn't judge him for the stink of swill on his breath. I was 11 then, only 5 years ago, yet it feels like a lifetime. I get pats on the back from those of Lambda, and even Varlo, the baker, tilts me his brow and tosses Eo a fist of bread. They've heard about the laurel, no doubt. Eo tucks the bread into her skirts for later and gives me a curious look. You're grinning like a fool, she says to me, pinching my side. What did you do? I shrug and try to wipe the grin from my face. It is impossible. Well, you're very proud of something, she says suspiciously. Kieran's son and daughter, my niece and nephew, patter by. 3 and 3, the twins are just fast enough to outrace both Kieran's wife and my mother. My mother's smile is one of a woman who has seen what life has to offer and is, at best, bemused. It seems you've burned yourself, my heart, she says when she sees my gloved hands. Her voice is slow, ironic. A blister, Eo says for me. Nasty one? Mother shrugs. His father came home with worse. I put my arm around her shoulders. They are thinner than they used to be when she taught me, as all women teach their sons, the songs of our people. Was that a hint of worry I heard, Mother? I ask. Worry? Me? Silly child. Mother sighs with a slow smile. I kiss her on the cheek. Half the clans are already drunk when we arrive on the common. In addition to a dancing people, we're a drunken people. The tin pots let us alone in that. Hang a man for no real reason, and you might get some grumblings from the township. But force sobriety upon us, and you'll be picking up the pieces for a bloody damn month. Eo is of the mind that the fungus Grendel, which we distill, isn't native to Mars, and was instead planted here to enslave us to the swill. She brings this up whenever my mother makes a new batch, and my mother usually replies by taking a swig and saying, "Rather a drink be my master than a man. These chains taste sweet. They'll taste even sweeter with the syrups we'll get from the laurel boxes. They have flavors for alcohol, like berry and something called cinnamon. Perhaps I'll even get a new zither made of wood instead of metal. Sometimes they give those out. Mine is an old frayed thing. I've played it too long. But it was my father's." The music swells ahead of us on the common. Bawdy tunes of improvised percussion and wailing zithers. We're joined by omegas and upsilons, jostling about merrily toward the taverns. All the tavern doors have been thrown open, so their smoke and sound billow into the commons plaza. Tables ring the plaza, and a space is left clear surrounding the central gallows, so that there is room to dance. Gamma homes fill the next several levels, followed by supply depots, a sheer wall, and then high above in the ceiling, a sunken metal dome with nanoglass viewports. We call that place the Pot. It is the fortress where our keepers live and sleep. Beyond that is the uninhabitable surface of our planet, a barren wasteland that I've only seen on the HC, the helium-3 we mine, is supposed to change that. The dancers and jugglers and singers of the Laureltide have already begun. Io catches sight of Loren and Kieran and gives them a holler. They're at a long, packed table near the Soggy Drop, the tavern, where the oldest of our clan, Old Ripper, holds court and tells tales to drunken folks. He's passed out on the table tonight. It's a shame. I would have liked for him to see me finally get us the laurel. At our feasts, where there's hardly food enough for each soul to hold a bit in their gob, the drink and dance take center. Loren pours me a mug of swill before I even sit down. He's always trying to get others to drink so he can put ridiculous ribbons in their hair. He clears the way for Ao to sit beside his own wife, Dio, her sister, twin in looks, if not birth. Loren has a love for Io like her brother Liam would, but I know he was once taken with her as he ever was with Dio. In fact, he bent a knee to my wife when she turned 14, but then again, half the lads joined him in that. No sweating it. She made her choice right and clear. Kieran's children swarm him. His wife kisses his lips. Mine kisses his brow and tousles his red hair. After a day in the Webbery, harvesting spiderworm silk, I don't know how the wives managed to look so lovely. I was born handsome, face angular and slim, but the mines have done their part to change me. I'm tall, still growing, hair still like old blood, irises still as rust-red as Octavio Loons are golden. My skin is tight and pale, but I'm pocked with scars, burns, cuts. Won't be long till I look hard as Dago or tired as Uncle Neril. But the women, they're beyond us, beyond me. Lovely and spry despite the Webbery, despite the children they bear. They wear layered skirts down past their knees and blouses of half a dozen reds. Never anything else, always red. They're the heart of the clans, and how much more beautiful they will look, wrapped in the imported bows and ribbons and laces contained in the laurel boxes. I touch the sigils on my hands, a bone-like texture. It's a crude red circle with an arrow and cross-hatching. It feels right. Io's doesn't. Her hair and eyes may be ours, but she could be one of the gold brows we see on the holocan. She deserves it. Then I see her smack Loren hard on the head as he throws back a mug of Ma's swill. God, if he's placing about the pieces, placed her well. I smile. But as I look behind her, my smile fades. Above the leaping dancers, amidst the 100 swirling skirts and thumping boots and clapping hands, sways a single skeleton upon the cold, tall gallows. Others do not notice it. To me, it is a shadow, a reminder of my father's fate. Though we are diggers, we are not permitted to bury our dead. It is another of the society's laws. My father swayed for 2 months till they cut his skeleton down and ground his bones to dust. I was 6, but I tried to pull him down the first day. But my uncle stopped me. I hated him because he kept me from my father's body. Later I came to hate him again because I discovered he was weak. My father died for something, while Uncle Neril lived and drank and squandered his life. He's a mad one. You'll see someday. Mad and brilliant and noble. Nero's the best of my brothers, my father once said. Now he's just the last. I never thought my father would do the devil's dance, what the old folk called death by hanging. He was a man of words and peace, but his notion was freedom, laws of our own. His dreams were his weapons. His legacy is the dancer's rebellion that died with him on the scaffold. 9 men at once doing the devil's dance, kicking and flailing, till only he was left. It wasn't much of a rebellion. They thought peaceful protest would convince the society to increase the food rations, so they performed the reaping dance in front of the grav lifts and removed bits of machinery from the drills so they wouldn't work. The gambit failed. Only winning the laurel can get you more food. It's on 11 when my uncle sits down with his zither. He eyes me something nasty, drunk as a fool on Yuletide. We don't share words, though he has a kind one for Io and she for him. Everyone loves Io. It's when Io's mother comes over and kisses me on the back of my head and says very loudly, "We heard the news, you golden boy. The laurel, you are your father's son," that my uncle stares. "What's the matter, Uncle?" I ask. "Have gas?" His nostrils flare wide. "You little shit-eater." He launches himself across the table, and soon we're a muddle of fists and elbows on the ground. He's big, but I flip him down and pound his nose with my bad hand, till Io's father and Kieran pull me off. Uncle Nero spits at me. It's more blood than swill than anything else. Then we're drinking again, but opposite ends of the table. My mother rolls her eyes. "He's just bitter. He didn't do a bloody damn thing to get the laurel. Shown up is all," Lauren says of his father. "Bloody damn coward wouldn't know how to win the laurel if it landed in his lap," I say, scowling. Io's father pats me on the head and sees his daughter fixing my burned hand under the table. I slip my gloves back on. He winks at me. Io has figured out the fuss about the laurel by the time the tin pots arrive, but she's not excited as I'd hoped she'd be. She twists her skirts in her hands and smiles at me. But her smiles are more like grimaces. I don't understand why she's so apprehensive. None of the other clans are. Many come to pay their respects. All of the Helldivers do, except Dago. He's sitting at a group of shiny gamma tables, the only ones with more food than swill, smoking down a burner. Can't wait for the sod to be eating regular rations. Lauren chuckles. Dago's never tasted peasant fare before. Yet somehow he's thinner than a woman, Kieran adds. I laugh along with Lauren and push a meager piece of bread to Io. "Cheer up," I tell her. "This is a night for celebrating." "I'm not hungry," she replies. "Not even if the bread has cinnamon on it. Soon it will." She gives me that half smile, as if she knows something I do not. At 1200, a coterie of tin pots descend in grav boots from the pot. Their armor is shoddy and stained. Most are boys or old men retired from Earth's wars, but that's not what matters. They carry their thumpers and scorchers in buckled holsters. I've never seen either weapon used. There's no need. They've got the air, the food, the port. We haven't a scorcher to shoot. Not that Io wouldn't like to steal one. The muscle in her jaw flexes as she watches the tin pots float in their grav boots, now joined by Mine Magistrate Taimoni Su Pagenus, a minute copper-haired man of the pennies. Copper, to be technic. Notice, grabby rosters," Ugly Dan calls. Silence falls over the festivities as they float above us. Magistrate Paganus's grav boots are substandard things, so he wobbles in the air like a geriatric. More tin pots descend on a grav lift as Paganus splays open his small manicured hands. "Fellow pioneers, how wonderful it is to see your celebrations. I must confess," he titters, "I have a fondness for the rustic nature of your happiness. Simple drink, simple fare, simple dance. Oh, what fine souls you have to be so entertained. Why, I wish I were so entertained. I cannot even find pleasure off-planet in a pink brothel after a meal of fine ham and pineapple tart these days. How sad for me. How your souls are spoiled. If only I could be like you. But my color is my color, and I am cursed as a copper to live a tedious life of data, bureaucracy, and management." He clucks his tongue. and his copper curls bounce as his grave boots shift. But to the matter, all quotas have been met, save by Mu and Chi. As such, they will receive no beefs, milks, spices, hygienics, comforts, or dental aid this month. Oats and substantials only. You understand that the ships from Earth orbit can only bring so many supplies to the colonies, valuable resources. We must give them to those who perform. Perhaps next quarter, Mu and Chi, you will dally less. Mu and Chi lost 12 men in a gas explosion, like the one Uncle Nero feared. They did not dally. They died. He prattles on a while before coming to the real matter. He produces the laurel and holds it in the air, pinched between his fingers. It's painted in fake gold, but the small branch sparkles nonetheless. Lauren nudges me. Uncle Nero scowls. I lean back, conscious of the eyes. The young take their cues from me. The children adore all hell divers, but the older eyes watch me too, just as Io always says. I'm their pride, their golden son. Now I show them how a real man acts. I won't jump up and down in victory. I'll just smile and nod. And it becomes my distinct honor to, on behalf of the Arch-Governor of Mars, Nero R. Augustus, to award the laurel of productivity and monthly excellence, and triumphant fortitude and obedience, sacrifice, and... Gamma gets us the laurel, and we don't. Chapter 4. The Gift. As the laurel-wreathed boxes come down to Gamma, I think about how clever it really is. They won't let us win the laurel. They don't care that the math doesn't work. They don't care that the young scream in protest, and the old moan their same tired wisdoms. This is just a demonstration of their power. It is their power. They decide the winner. A game of merit, won by birth. It keeps the hierarchy in place. It keeps us striving, but never conspiring. Yet despite the disappointment, some part of us doesn't blame the society. We blame Gamma, who receives the gift. A man's only got so much hate, I suppose. And when he sees his children's ribs through their shirts, while his neighbors line their bellies with meat stews and sugared tarts, it's hard for him to hate anyone but them. You think they'd share. They don't. My uncle shrugs at me, and others are red and mad. Lauren looks like he might attack the tin pots or the Gammas, but Yo doesn't let me boil on it. She doesn't let my knuckles turn white as I clench my fists in fury. She knows the temper I have inside me better than my own mother, and she knows how to drain the rage before it rises. My mother smiles softly as she watches Yo take me by the arm. How she loves my wife. "Dance with me," Yo whispers. She shouts for the zithers to get going and the drums to get rolling. No doubt she's pissing fire. She hates the society more than I do. But this is why I love my wife. Soon, the fast zither music swells, and the old men slap their hands on tables. The layered skirts fly, feet tap and shuffle, and I grasp my wife as the clans flow and dance throughout the square to join us. We sweat, and we laugh and try to forget the anger. We grew together, and are now grown. In her eyes I see my heart. In her breath I hear my soul. She is my land. She is my kin, my love. She pulls me away with laughter. We wind our way through the crowd to be alone, yet she does not stop when we are free. She guides me along metal walkways and low, dark ceilings to old tunnels, to the webbery where the women toil. It is between shifts. Where are we going, exactly? I ask. If you remember, I have gifts for you, and if you apologize for your own gift going flat, I'll smack you in the gob. Seeing a bloody red Hamarthus bulb peeking out from the wall, I snatch it up and hand it to her. My gift, I say. I did intend to surprise you. She giggles. Well then, this inner half is mine. This outer half is yours. No, don't pull at it. I'm keeping your half. I smell the Himarthas in her hand. It stinks like rust and mother's meager stews. Inside the webbery, thigh-thick spider-worms of brown and black fur with long skeletal legs knit silk around us. They crawl along the girders, thin legs, disproportionate to their corpulent abdomens. Yo leads me to the webbery's highest level. The old metal girders are laced with silk. I shiver in looking at the creatures above and below. Pit vipers I understand. Spider-worms I do not. The society's carvers made the creatures. Laughing, Yo guides me to a wall and pulls back a thick curtain of webbing, revealing a rusted metal duct. Ventilation, she says. Mortar on the walls gave way to reveal it about a week ago. An old tube, too. Yo, they'll lash us if they find us. We're not allowed. I'm not going to let them ruin this gift, too. She kisses me on the nose. Come on, Helldiver. There's not even a molten drill in this tunnel. I follow her through a long series of turns in the small shaft, till we exit out a grate into a world of inhuman sounds. A buzz murmurs in the darkness. She takes my hand. It's the only familiar thing. What is that? I ask of the sound. Animals, she says, and leads me into the strange night. Something soft is beneath my feet. I nervously let her pull me forward. Grass, trees, darrow, trees. We're in a forest, the scent of flowers, then lights in the darkness. Flickering animals with green abdomens flutter through the black. Great bugs with iridescent wings rise from the shadows. They pulse with color and life. My breath catches, and Yo laughs as a butterfly passes so close I can touch it. They're in our songs, all these things, but we've only ever seen them on the HC. Their colors are unlike any I could believe. My eyes have seen nothing but soil, the flare of the drills, reds, and the gray of concrete and metal. The HC has been my window through which I've seen color, but this is a different spectacle. The colors of the floating animals scald my eyes. I shiver and laugh, and reach out and touch the creatures floating before me in the darkness. A child again. I cup them and look up at the room's clear ceiling. It is a transparent bubble that peers at the sky. Sky. Once it was just a word. I cannot see Mars's face, but I can see its view. Stars glow soft and graceful in the slick black sky like the lights that dangle above our township. Yo looks as though she could join them. Her face is aglow as she watches me, laughing as I fall to my knees and suck in the scent of the grass. It is a strange smell, sweet and nostalgic, though I have no memories of grass. As the animals buzz near the brush in the trees, I pull her down. I kiss her with my eyes open for the first time. The trees and their leaves sway gently from the air that comes through the vents, and I drink the sounds, the smells, the sights, as my wife and I make love in a bed of grass beneath a roof of stars. That is Andromeda Galaxy, she tells me later as we lie on our backs. The animals make chirping noises in the darkness. The sky above me is a frightening thing. If I stare too intently, I forget gravity's pull and feel as though I'm going to fall into it. Shivers trickle down my spine. I'm a creature of nooks and tunnels and shafts. The mine is my home, and part of me wants to run to safety, run from this alien room of living things and vast spaces. Io rose to look at me and traces the steam scars that run like rivers down my chest. Farther down, she'd find scars from the pit viper along my belly. Mom used to tell me stories of Andromeda. She'd draw with inks given to her by that tin pot, Bridge. He always liked her, you know. As we lie together, she takes a deep breath, and I know she has planned something, saved something to talk about in this moment. This place is leverage. You won the laurel. We all know, she says to me. You needn't coddle me. I'm not angry any longer. It doesn't matter, I say. After seeing this, none of that matters. What are you talking about? She asks sharply. It matters more than ever. You won the laurel, but they didn't let you keep it. It doesn't matter. This place exists, but they don't let us come here, Darrow. The Greys must use it for themselves. They don't share. Why should they? I ask, confused. Because we made it. Because it's ours. Is it? The thought is foreign. All I possess is my family and myself. Everything else is the society's. We didn't spend the money to send the pioneers here. Without them, we'd be on the dying earth like the rest of humanity. Darrow, are you so red that you don't see what they've done to us? Watch your tone, I say tightly. Her jaw flexes. I'm sorry, it's just, we are in chains, Darrow. We are not colonists. Well, sure we are, but it's more on the spot to call us slaves. We beg for food, beg for laurels like dogs begging for scraps from the master's table. You may be a slave, I snap, but I am not. I don't beg. I earn. I am a hell diver. I was born to sacrifice, to make Mars ready for man. There's a nobility to obedience. She throws up her hands. A talking puppet, are you? Spitting out their bloody damn lines? Your father had the right of it. He might not have been perfect, but he had the right of it. She grabs a clump of grass and tears it out of the ground. It seems like some sort of sacrilege. We have a claim over this land, Darrow. Our sweat and blood watered this soil, yet it belongs to the Golds, to the society. How long has it been this way? 100? 150 years of pioneers mining and dying. Our blood and their orders. We prepared this land for colors that have never shed sweat for us. Colors that sit in comfort on their thrones on distant Earth. Colors that have never been to Mars. Is that something to live for? I'll say it again. Your father had the right of it. I shake my head at her. Heyo, my father died before he was even 20 because he had the right of it. Your father was weak, she mutters. What the bloody damn is that supposed to mean? Blood rises into my face. It means he had too much restraint. It means your father had the right dream, but died because he would not fight to make it real, she says sharply. He had a family to protect. He was still weaker than you. Careful, I hiss. Careful? This from Darrow, the mad hell diver of Lycos? She laughs patronizingly. Your father was born careful, obedient. But were you? I didn't think so when I married you. The others say you are like a machine, because they think you know no fear. They're blind. They don't see how fear binds you. She traces the hemathus blossom along my collarbone in a sudden show of tenderness. She's a creature of moods. The flower is the same color as the wedding band on her finger. I roll on an elbow to face her. Spit it out. What do you want? Do you know why I love you, hell diver? She asks. Because of my sense of humor? She laughs dryly. Because you thought you could win the laurel. Kieran told me how you burned yourself today. I sigh. That rat. Always jabbering. Thought that's what younger brothers were supposed to do, not elder. Kieran was frightened, Darrow. Not for you, like you might be thinking. He was frightened of you because he can't do what you did. The boy wouldn't even think it. She always talks circles around me. I hate the abstracts she lives for. So, you love me because you believe that I think there are things worth the risk. I puzzle out. Or because I'm ambitious? Because you've a brain, she teases. She makes me ask it again. What do you want me to do, Io? Act. I want you to use your gifts for your father's dream. You see how people watch you, take their cues from you. I want you to think owning this land, our land, is worth the risk. How much a risk? Your life? My life? I scoff. You're that eager to be rid of me? Speak, and they will listen, she urges. It is that bloody simple. All ears yearn for a voice to lead them through darkness. Grand. So I'll hang with a troop. I am my father's son. You won't hang? I laughed too harshly. So certain a wife I have. I'll hang. You're not meant to be a martyr. Sighing, she lies back in disappointment. You wouldn't see the point to it, dunno. Well then tell me, Io, what is the point to dying? I'm only a martyr's son, so tell me what that man accomplished by robbing me of a father. Tell me what good comes of all that bloody damn sadness. Tell me why it's better I learn to dance from my uncle than my father. I go on. Did his death put food on your table? Did it make any of our lives any better? Dying for a cause doesn't do a bloody damn thing. It just robbed us of his laughter. I feel the tears burning my eyes. It just stole away a father and a husband. So what if life isn't fair? If we have family, that is all that should matter. She licks her lips and takes her time in replying. Death isn't empty like you say it is. Emptiness is life without freedom, Darrow. Emptiness is living chained by fear, fear of loss, of death. I say we break those chains. Break the chains of fear, and you break the chains that bind us to the goals, to the society. Could you imagine it? Mars could be ours. It could belong to the colonists who slaved here, died here. Her face is easier to see as night fades through the clear roof. It is alive, on fire. If you led the others to freedom, the things you could do, Darrow. The things you could make happen. She pauses, and I see her eyes are glistening. It chills me. You have been given so much, but you set your sights so low. You repeat the same damn points, I say bitterly. You think a dream is worth dying for? I say it isn't. You say it's better to die on your feet. I say it's better to live on our knees. You're not even living, she snaps. We are machine men with machine minds, machine lives. And machine hearts? I ask. That's what I am? Darrow. What do you live for? I ask her suddenly. Is it for me? Is it for family and love, or is it for some dream? It's not just some dream, Darrow. I live. For the dream that my children will be born free, that they will be what they like, that they will own the lands their father gave them. I live for you, I say sadly. She kisses my cheek. Then you must live for more. There's a long, terrible silence that stretches between us. She does not understand how her words wrench my heart, how she can twist me so easily. Because she does not love me like I love her. Her mind is too high, mine too low. Am I not enough for her? You said you had another gift for me, I say, changing the subject. She shakes her head. Some other time. The sun rises. Watch it with me once at least. We lie in silence and watch the light slip into the sky, as though it were a tide made from fire. It is unlike anything I could have dreamed of. I can't stop the tears that well in the corners of my eyes as the world beyond turns to light, and the greens and browns and yellows of the trees in the room are revealed. It is beauty. It is a dream. I am silent as we return to the grimness of the gray ducts. The tears linger in my eyes, and as the majesty of what I saw fades, I wonder what Io wants of me. Does she want me to take my sling blade and start a rebellion? I would die. My family would die. She would die, and nothing would make me risk her. She knows that. I'm puzzling out what her other gift may be when we exit the ducts for the webbery. I roll first from the ducts and extend a hand back to her when I hear a voice. It is accented, oily, from Earth. "Red's in our gardens," it oozes. "Ain't that a thing?" Chapter 5. The first song. Ugly Dan stands with 3 tin pots. Their thumpers perch, crackling in their hands. 2 of the men lean on the metal rails of the Webbery's girders. Behind them, the women of Mu and Upsilon wrap silk from the worms around long silver poles. They shake their heads insistently at me, as if telling me not to be foolish. We've gone beyond the permitted zones. This will mean a flogging, but if I resist, it'll mean death. They will kill Io, and they will kill me. "Darrow," Io murmurs. I set myself between Io and the tin pots, but I don't fight. I won't let us die for a simple glimpse of the stars. I put my hands out to let them know I will surrender. "Hell divers," Ugly Dan chuckles to the others. "The toughest ant is yet but an ant." He swings his thumper into my stomach. It's like being bitten by a viper and kicked by a boot. I fall, gasping, hands on the metal grate. Electricity slithers through my veins. I taste the bile rising in my throat. "Take a swing, Helldiver," Dan coos. He drops one of the thumpers in front of me. "Please take a swing. Won't be any consequences. Just some fun between the boys. Take a piggin swing." "Do it, Daryl," Io shouts. I'm not a fool. I thrust my hands up in surrender, and Dan sighs in disappointment as he clacks the magnetic manacles around my wrists. What would Io have had me do? She curses at them as they lock our arms together and drag us away through the webbery to the cells. This will mean the lash, but it will be just the lash because I did not pick up the thumper. Because I did not listen to Io. It's 3 days in a cell in the pot before I see Io again. Bridge, one of the old kinder tin pots, takes us out together. He lets us touch. I wonder if she'll spit at me, curse me for my impotence. But she only grips my fingers and brings her lips to mine. "Darrow." Her lips brush my ear. The breath is warm, the lips cracked and trembling. She's frail as she hugs me, the little girl all wire-wrapped in pale skin. Her knees wobble and she shudders against me. The warmth I saw in her face as we watched the sunrise has fled and left her like a faded memory. But I hardly see anything but her eyes and her hair. I wrap my arms around her and hear the muttering of the crowded common. The faces of our kin and clans stare at us as we stand at the edge of the gallows where they will flog us. I feel like a child under their stares, under the yellowish lights. It's like a dream when Io tells me she loves me. Her hand lingers on mine, but there's something strange to her eyes. They should only whip her, yet her words are final. Her eyes, sad, but not afraid. I see her making a goodbye. A nightmare is coming into my heart. I can feel it like a nail dragged across the bones of my spine as she murmurs an epigram in my ear, "Break the chains, my love." And then I am jerked away from her by my hair. Tears stream down her face. They are for me, though I do not yet understand why. I cannot think. The world is swimming. I am drowning. Rough hands shove me to my knees, then jerk me up. I've never heard the common so quiet. The shuffling of my captors' feet echoes as they move me around. The tin pots fit me into my Helldiver fry suit. Its acrid smell makes me think I'm safe. I'm in control. I am not. I'm dragged away from her into the very center of the common and tossed at the edge of the gallows. The metal stairs are rusted and stained. I grip them with my hands and look to the top of the gallows. 24 of the head talks, each have a cord of leather. They wait for me atop the platform. Oh, the horror of such occasions as this, my friends. Magistrate Paganus cries. His copper grav boots hum above me as he floats through the air. Oh, how the ties that bind us are stretched when one decides to break the laws which protect us all. Even the youngest, even the best, are subject to law, to order. Without these, we would be animals. Without obedience, without discipline, there would be no colonies, and those few colonies there are would be torn asunder by disorder. Man would be confined to Earth. Man would wallow forevermore on that planet until the end of days. But order, discipline, law, these are the things which empower our race. Cursed is the creature who breaks with these compacts. The speech is more eloquent than usual. Paganus is trying to impress his intelligence upon someone. I look up from the stairs and see a sight I did not ever think to see with my own 2 eyes. It stings to look at him, to drink in the radiance of his hair, of his sigils. I see a gold. In this drab place, he is what I imagine angels would be like, cloaked in gold and black, wrapped in the sun, a lion roaring upon his breast. His face is older, severe, and pure with power. His hair shines, combed back against his head. Neither a smile nor a frown mark his thin lips, and the only line I see is that of a scar which runs along his right cheekbone. I've learned from the HC that such a scar is born only by the finest of the golds, the peerless scarred, they call them, men and women of the ruling color who have graduated from the Institute where they learn the secrets that will permit mankind to one day colonize all the planets of the solar system. He does not speak to us. He speaks to another gold, one tall and thin, so thin I thought it a woman at first. Without a scar, the man's face is coated with strange paste to bring out the color of his cheeks and cover the lines on his face. His lips shine, and his hair glistens in a way his master's does not. He is a grotesque thing to look upon. He thinks so of us. He sniffs the air, contemptuous. The older gold speaks to him softly, and not to us. And why should he speak to us that we are not worthy of a gold's words? I scarcely want to look at him. I feel like I dirty his gold and black finery with my red eyes. Shame creeps upon me, and then I realize why. His is a face I know. It is a face every man and woman of the colonies would know. Besides Octavia Aulun, this is the most famous face on Mars, that of Nero Augustus. The arch-governor of Mars has come to see me flogged, and he has brought a retinue. 2 crows, obsidians to be technic, float quietly behind him. Their skull helmets suit their color. I was born to mine the earth. They were born to kill men more than 2 feet taller than I, 8 fingers on each massive hand. They breed them for war, and watching them is like watching the cold-blooded pit vipers who infest our minds. Reptiles both. There are a dozen others in his retinue, including another, slighter gold, who seems his apprentice. He's even more beautiful than the arch-governor, and he appears to dislike the thin, womanish gold. And there is a HC camera crew of greens, tiny creatures compared with the crows. Their hair is dark, not green like their eyes and the sigils on their hands. Frenetic excitement shimmers in those eyes. It's not often they have hell divers to make into an example, so they make a spectacle of me. I wonder how many other mining colonies are watching, all of them, if the arch-governor is here. They make a show of stripping away the fry suit they only just dressed me in. I see myself on the HC displayed above. See my wedding band dangling from the cord around my neck. I look younger than I feel, thinner. They jerk me up the stairs and bend me over a metal box beside the noose, where my father hung, a shiver as they lay me across the cold steel and tighten my hands in restraints. I smell the synth leather of the lashes, hear one of the head talks cough. "Forevermore, let justice be done," Paganus says. Then the lashes come, 48 in all. They aren't soft, not even my uncle's. They can't be. The lashes bite and wail into my flesh, making a strange keening noise as they arch through the air, music of terror. I can barely see by the end of it. I pass out twice, and each time I wake, I wonder if you can see my spine on the HC. It's a show, all a show of their power. They let the tin pot, Ugly Dan, act sympathetic, as though he pities me. He whispers encouragement in my ear loud enough for the cameras, and when the last lash slashes my back, he steps in as if to stop another from coming down. Subconsciously, I think he saves me. I'm thankful. I want to kiss him. He is salvation, but I know I've had my 48. Then they are dragging me to the side. They leave my blood. I'm sure I screamed, sure I shamed myself. I hear them bring out my wife. Even the young, even the beautiful, cannot escape justice. It is for all the colors that we preserve order, justice. Without, we would find anarchy. Without obedience, chaos. Man would perish upon the irradiated sands of earth. He would drink from the blasted seas. There must be unity. Forevermore, let justice be done. Baby. Mine magistrate Pygianus's words ring hollow. No one is offended that I'm bloody and beaten. But when Eo is dragged atop the gallows, there are cries, there are curses. Even now she is beautiful. Even drained of the light I saw in her 3 days ago, even as she sees me and lets the tears come down her face, she is an angel. All this for a little adventure. All this for a night under the stars with the man she loves. But she is calm. If there is fear, it is in me, because I feel a strangeness in the air. Her skin prickles as they lay her across the cold box. She flinches. I wish my blood had warmed it better for her. When they whip Eo, I try not to watch, but it hurts more to abandon her. Her eyes find mine. They shine like rubies, twitch every time the lash falls. Soon this will be over, my love. Soon we will go back to life. Just last the lash, and we get everything back. But can she even take so many lashes? End it, I say to the tin pot beside me. End it, I beg of him. I'll do anything. I'll obey. I'll take her lashes. Just end it, you bloody damn bastard. End it. The arch-governor looks down at me, but his face is golden, poreless, and without care. I am nothing but the bloodiest of ants. My sacrifice will impress him. He'll feel compassion if I abase myself, if I throw myself into the fire for love. He'll feel pity. This is how the stories go. Your Excellency, give me her punishment, I plead. Please. I beg because in my wife's eyes I see something that terrifies me. I see fight in her as they streak her back bloody. I see anger building inside her. There is a reason she is not afraid. No, 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 I plead to her. No, Eo, please, no. Gag that wretched thing. He prickles the arch-governor's ears. Pygianus orders. Bridge forces a knot of stone into my mouth. I gag and cry as the 13th lash falls, as I mumble for her not to do it. Eo stares into my eyes one last moment, and then she begins her song. It is a quiet sound, a mournful sound, like the song the deep mines whisper as wind moves in the abandoned shafts. It is the song of death and lament, the song that is forbidden, the song I have only heard once before. For this, they will kill her. Her voice is soft and true, never as beautiful as she. It echoes across the common, rising up like a siren's unearthly call. The lashes pause, the head talks shiver. Even the tin pots sadly shake their heads when they place the words. Few men truly like seeing beauty burn. Pygianus glances embarrassedly over at Archgovernor Augustus, who descends on golden grav boots to watch more closely. His shining hair glistens against his noble brow. High cheekbones catch the light. Those golden eyes examine my wife, as though a worm had suddenly sprouted a butterfly's wings. His scar curves as he speaks with a voice dripping power. "Let her sing," he says to Pygianus, not bothering to hide his fascination. "But my lord, no animal but man throws themselves willingly into the flames, copper. Relish the sight. You will not see it again." To his camera crew, "Continue recording. We will edit out the parts we find intolerable." How futile his words make her sacrifice seem. But never has Io been more beautiful to me than in that moment. In the face of cold power, she is fire. This is the girl who danced through the smoky Tav with a mane of red. This is the girl who wove me a wedding band of her own hair. This is the girl who chooses to die for a song of death, singing, my love, remember the cries when winter died for spring skies? They roared and roared, but we grabbed our seed and sowed a song against their greed. And down in the vale, hear the reaper swing, the reaper swing, the reaper swing. Down in the vale, hear the reaper sing a tale of winter done. My son, remember the chains when gold ruled with iron reins. We roared and twisted and screamed for hours of veil, of better dreams. As her voice finally swells and the song runs out of words, I know I have lost her. She becomes something more important, and she was right. I do not understand. A quaint tune, but is that all you have? The Archgovernor asks her when she is through. He looks at her, but he speaks loudly to the crowd. To those who will watch in the other colonies, his entourage chuckles at Io's weapon. A song. What is a song but notes unto the air? Useless as a match in a storm against his power, he shames us. Do any of you wish to join her in song? I implore you, bold reds of... He looks to his assistant, who mouths the name. Lycos. Join her now, if you wish. I can barely breathe past the stone. It chips my molars, tears stream down my face. No voices rise from the crowd. I see my mother trembling with anger. Kieran clutches his wife close. Neryl stares at the ground. Lauren weeps. They're all here, all quiet, all afraid. Alas, Your Excellency, we find the girl alone in her zealotry, Pygianus declares. Io has eyes only for me. 'Tis clear her opinion is an outlier's, an outcast's. Mayhaps we should proceed. Yes, the Archgovernor says idly. I have an appointment with Arcos. Hang the rusty bitch, lest she continue to howl. Chapter 6. The Martyr. For Io, I do not react. I am anger. I am hatred. Everything. But I hold her gaze, even as they take her away and fit the noose around her neck. I look up at Bridge and he quietly takes the gag from my mouth. My teeth will never be the same. Tears build in the tin pot's eyes. I leave him and stumble numbly to the bottom of the scaffold so Io can see me as she dies. This is her choice. I will be with her to the end. My hands shake. Sobs come from the crowd behind me. The last words, To whom will you speak them before justice is done? Pigenis asks her. He drips sympathy for the camera. I ready for her to say my name, but she does not. Her eyes never leave mine, but she calls her sister out. Deo. The word trembles in the air. She is frightened now. I do not react as Deo climbs the scaffold stairs. I do not understand, but I will not be jealous. This is not about me. I love her, and her choice is made. I do not understand, but I will not let her die knowing anything but my love. Ugly Dan has to help Deo climb the gallows. She's stumbling and senseless as she leans close to her sister. Whatever is said, I do not hear. But Deo lets loose a moan that will haunt me forever. She looks at me as she weeps. What did my wife tell her? Women are crying. Men wipe their eyes. They have to stun Deo to pull her away, but she clings to Eo's feet, weeping. There's a nod from the arch-governor, though he doesn't even care enough to watch as, like my father, Eo is hanged. Live for more, she mouths to me. She reaches into a pocket and pulls out the hemanthus I gave her. It is smashed and flat. Then loudly, she screams to all those gathered, "Break the chains!" The trapdoor beneath her feet opens. She falls, and for one moment her hair hangs suspended above her head, a flourish of red. Then her feet scramble at air and she falls. Her slim throat gags, eyes open so wide. If only I could save her from this. If only I could protect her. But the world is cold and hard to me. It does not bend as I wish it to bend. I am weak. I watch my wife die, and my hemanthus fall from her hand. The camera records it all. I rush forward to kiss her ankle. I cradle her legs. I will not let her suffer. On Mars, there is not much gravity, so you have to pull the feet to break the neck. They let the loved ones do it. Soon, there is no sound, not even the creaking of the rope. My wife is too light. She was only just a girl. Then the thumping of the fading dirge begins. Fists on chests. Thousands. Fast, like a racing heartbeat. Slower. A beat a second. A beat every 5, every 10. Then never again. And the mournful mass fades away, like dust held in the palm as the old tunnels wail with deep winds. And the golds, they fly away. Eo's father, Lauren, and Kieran sit by my door through the night. They say they are there to keep me company, but they are there to guard me, to ensure I do not die. I want to die. Mother dresses my wound with silk my sister Liana stole from the webbery. Keep the nerve nuclei dry, or you will scar. What are scars? How little they matter. Eo will not see them, so why should I care? She will not run her hand along my back. She will never kiss my wounds. She is gone. I lie on our bed on my back, so I can feel the pain and forget my wife. But I cannot forget. She hangs even now. In the morning I will pass her on the way to the mines. Soon she will stink, and soon she will rot. My beautiful wife shone too bright to live long. I still feel her neck cracking against my hands. They tremble now in the night. There is a hidden tunnel I carved in my bedroom long ago in the rock, so I could sneak out as a child. I use it now. I leave out the secret path, climbing stealthily down from my home, so my kin never see me slip away in the low light. It is quiet in the township, quiet except for the HC, which makes my wife die to a soundtrack. They intended to show the futility of disobedience, and they succeed in that. But there is something else in the video. They show my flogging and Eo's, and they play her song throughout. And as she dies, they play it again, which seems to give the video the wrong effect. Even if she were not my wife, I see a martyr, a young girl's pretty song silenced by the rope of cruel men. Then the HC flashes black for several moments. It has never gone to black before. And Octavia O'Loon comes back on with the same old message. It almost seems as though someone has hacked into the broadcast, because my wife flickers onto the giant screen again. "Break the chains!" she cries, and she's gone. And the screen is black. It crackles. The image comes back. She cries it again. Black once more. Standard programming goes up. Then it cuts to her screaming one last time. And then there's me pulling her legs. Then static. The streets are quiet as I make my way to the common. The night shift will be returning soon. Then I hear a noise, and a man steps into the street in front of me. My uncle's face leers at me from the shadows. A single bulb hangs over his head, illuminating the flask in his hand and his tattered red shirt. "You are your father's son, little bastard, stupid and vain." My hands clench. "Come to stop me, uncle?" he grunts. "Couldn't stop your father from killing his bloody self, and he was a better bloody man than you. More restraint in him." I step forward. "I don't need your permission." "Nay, you little squabber, you don't." He runs a hand through his hair. "Don't do what you're gonna do, though. It'll break your mother. You might think she didn't know you'd slip out. She did. Told me so. Said you were going to go die like my brother, like your girl. If Mother knew, she would have stopped me. Nah, she lets us men make our own mistakes, but this ain't what your girl would have wanted." I point a finger at my uncle. "You don't know a thing, not a thing about what she wanted. EO said I wouldn't understand being a martyr. I will show her I do." "Righto," he says with a shrug. "I'll walk with you then, since your head is full of rocks." He chuckles. "We lambdas do love the noose." He tosses me his flask, and I fall into tentative step beside him. I tried to talk your father out of his little protest, you know. Told him words and dance mean as much as dust. Tried squaring up with him. I squabbled that one up. He laid me down cold. He throws a slow right. Comes a time in life when you know a man has his mind set, and it's an insult to gainsay. I drink from his flask and hand it back. The swill tastes strange and thicker than usual. Strange. He makes me finish the flask. "You're set?" he asks, tapping his head. "Course it is. I forget I taught you how to dance." "Stubborn as a pit viper." "Wasn't that how you put it?" I say quietly, allowing a little smile. I walk in silence. For a moment with my uncle, he puts a hand on my shoulder. A sob wants to come out of my chest. I swallow it. "She left me," I whisper. "Just left me." Must have had a reason. Not a dumb girl, that one. The tears come as I enter the common. My uncle takes me in a one-armed hug and kisses the crown of my head. It's all he can offer. He's not a man made for affection. His face is pale and ghostly. 35 and so old, so tired. A scar twists his upper lip. Gray streaks his thick hair. "Tell them hello for me in the Vale," he says into my ear. His beard, of course, against my neck. "Give my brothers a toast and my wife a kiss, especially Dancer." Dancer? You'll know him. And if you see your grandpa and gran, tell them we still dance for them. They won't be long alone. He walks away, then pauses, and without turning says, "Break the chains. Here. Here." He leaves me there in the common with my swaying wife. I know the cameras watch me from the can as I walk up the gallows. It is metal, so the stairs don't creak. She hangs like a doll. Her face is pale as chalk. and her hair shifts slightly as the ventilators rasp above. When the rope has been cut with the sling blade I stole from the mines, I grab its frayed end and lower her down gently. I take my wife in my arms, and together wend our way from the square to the webbery. A night shift is working their final hours. The women watch in silence as I carry Io to the ventilation duct. There I see Liana, my sister. Tall and quiet like my mother, she watches me with hard eyes, but she does nothing. None of the women do. They will not gossip about where my wife is buried. They will not speak, not even for the chocolate given to spies. Only 5 souls have been buried in 3 generations. Someone always hangs for it. This is the ultimate act of love. Io's silent requiem. Women begin to cry. And as I pass, they reach to touch Io's face, to touch mine, and help me open the ventilation duct. I drag my wife through the tight metal space, taking her to where we made love beneath the stars, where she told me her plans, and I did not listen. I hold her lifeless body and hope her soul sees me in a place where we were happy. I dig a hole near the base of a tree. My hands, covered with the dirt of our land, are red like her hair as I take her hand and kiss her wedding band. I place the outer bulb of the hemanthus atop her heart and take the inner and put it near my own. Then I kiss her lips and bury her. But I sob before I can finish. I uncover her face and kiss her again and hold my body to hers till I see a red sun rising through the artificial bubble roof. The colors of the place scald my eyes and I cannot stop my tears. When I pull away, I see my headband poking from her pocket. She made it for me to take my sweat. I give it my tears now and take it with me. Kieran strikes me in the face when he sees me back in the township. Lauren cannot speak, while Io's father slumps against a wall. They think they failed me. I hear Io's mother's cries. My mother says nothing as she makes me a meal. I don't feel well. It's hard to breathe. Liana comes in late and helps her, kissing me on the head as I eat, lingering long enough to smell my hair. I must use one hand as I move the food from plate to mouth. My mother holds my other hand between her calloused palms. She watches it instead of me, as though remembering when it was small and soft, and wondering how it became so hard. I finish the meal just as Ugly Dan comes. My mother does not leave the table as I'm pulled away. Her eyes stay fixed on where my hands lay. I think she believes if she does not look up, this will not happen. She can only bear so much. They will hang me before a full assembly at 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm dizzy for some reason. My heart feels funny, slow. I hear the Archgovernor's words to my wife echo. Is that all your strength? My people sing, we dance, we love. That is our strength. But we also dig, and then we die. Seldom do we get to choose why. That choice is power. That choice has been our only weapon. But it is not enough. They give me my last words. I call Deo up. Her eyes are bloodshot and swollen. She's a fragile thing, so unlike her sister. What were Io's last words? I ask her. Though my mouth moves slowly, oddly. She glances back to my mother, who finally followed, but now shakes her head. There is something they are not telling me. Something they don't want me to know. A secret held back, even though I am about to die. She said she loved you. I don't believe her, but I smile and kiss her forehead. She can't handle more questions, and I'm dizzy. Hard to speak. I'll tell her you say hello. I do not sing. I am made for other things. My death is senseless. It is love. But Eo was right. I don't understand this. This is not my victory. This is selfish. She told me to live for more. She wanted me to fight. But here I am, dying despite what she wanted, giving up because of the pain. I panic, as suicides do when they realize their folly. Too late. I feel the door beneath me open. My body falls. Rope flays my neck and my spine creaks. Needles lance my lumbar. Kieran stumbles forward. Uncle Nero shoves him away. With a wink, he touches my feet and pulls. I hope they do not bury me. Part 2. Reborn. There is a festival where we wear the faces of demons to ward evil spirits from our dead in the veil. The faces sparkle with fool's gold. Chapter 7. Lazarus. I do not see Io in death. My kin believe we see our loved ones when we pass on. They wait for us in a green veil where wood fire smoke and the scent of stews thicken the air. There is an old man with dew on his cap who makes safe the veil, and he stands with our kin waiting for us along a stone road beside which sheep graze. They say the mist there is fresh and the flowers sweet, and those who are buried pass along the stone road faster. But I do not see my love. I do not see the veil. I see nothing but phantom lights in the darkness. I feel pressure, and I know, as would any miner, that I am buried beneath the earth. I loose a soundless scream. Dirt enters my mouth. Panic fills me. I cannot breathe, cannot move. The earth hugs me till finally I claw my way free, feel air, gasp oxygen, pant and spit dirt. It is minutes before I look up from my knees. I crouch in an abandoned mine, an old tunnel, long deserted, but still connected to the ventilation system. It smells of dirt. A single flare burns beside my grave, splaying weird shadows over the walls. It singes my side, like the sun did as it rose over Io's grave. I'm not dead. The realization takes longer in coming than one might have thought. But there's a bloody wound around my neck where the rope cut the skin. There's dirt in the lashes on my back. Still, I'm not dead. Uncle Nero didn't pull my feet hard enough. But surely the tin pots would have checked, unless they were lazy. Not a stretch to think that, but something else is at play. I was too woozy when I walked to the gallows. I feel something in my veins even now. A lethargy. As though I've been drugged. Nero did this. He drugged me. He buried me. But why? And how would he escape being caught when he pulled my body down? When a low rumbling comes from the darkness beyond the flare, I know I will have answers. A tumbler, like a metal beetle on 6 wheels, crawls over the crest of a long tunnel. Its front grille hisses steam as it comes to a stop in front of me. 18 lights singe my vision. Shapes exit the sides of the vehicle, cutting across the glare of the headlights to grab me. I'm too stunned to resist. Their hands are calloused like miners, and their faces are covered with Oktoberknacht demon masks, yet they move me gently, guiding instead of forcing me into the tumbler's hatch. Inside the tumbler, the globe light is red and bloody. I sit in a worn metal bucket seat across from the 2 figures that fetched me from my grave. The female's mask is pale white and gold, horns like a kecodemon. Her eyes glitter darkly out from the eye holes. The other figure is a timid man. He's willowy and quiet, seemingly frightened of me. His snarling bat-face mask can't conceal his shy glances or the way in which he hides his hands. A trait of the frightened, as Uncle Nero always claimed when he taught me to dance. You're sons of Ares, aren't you? I guess. The weakling flinches, while the woman's eyes are mocking. And you're Lazarus, she says. I find her voice cold, lazy, It plays with the ears as a cat plays with a caught mouse. I am Daryl. Oh, we know who you are. Don't tell him anything, Harmony, the weakling gibbers. Dancer didn't tell us to discuss anything with them till we get home. Thank you, Ralph. Harmony sighs at the weakling and shakes her head. After realizing his error, the weakling shifts uncomfortably in his bucket seat. But I've stopped paying him any mind. Here the woman is king. Unlike the weaklings, her mask is like that of an old crone, one of the witches of Earth's fallen cities who made soup from the marrow of children's bones. You're a mess. Harmony reaches to touch my neck. I grab her hand and squeeze. Her bones are brittle as hollow plastic in a hell diver's hand. The weakling reaches for his thumper, but Harmony motions him to calm down. Why am I not dead? I ask. After the hanging, my voice is like gravel dragged over metal. Because Ares has a mission for you, little hell diver. She winces as I squeeze her hand. Ares. My mind flashes to images of bomb blasts, disembodied limbs, chaos. Ares. I know what sort of mission he'll want. I'm too numb to even know what I'll say when he asks. My mind is on Io, not this life. I am a shell. Why could I not have stayed in the ground? May I have my hand back now? Harmony asks. If you take off your mask, otherwise I'm keeping it. She laughs and strips away her mask. Her face is day and night. The right side a ragged and distended mess of skin running and folding together in smooth scar rivers. A steam burn, a familiar sight. But not on women. Rare for a woman to be on a drill team, yet it is the unburned side of her face that startles. She is beautiful, more beautiful even than Ie. Skin soft, pale as milk, bones prominent and delicate, yet she looks so cold, so angry and cruel. Her bottom teeth are uneven and her nails poorly maintained. She has knives in her boots. I can tell by the way she flinched down when I grabbed her hand. The weakling, Ralph, is unremarkably ugly. Dark face like a hatchet, teeth all ajar and grimy. He stares out the tumbler's window hatch as we drive through abandoned tunnels till we reach lit, paved tunnel roads meant for fast moving. I did not know these Reds, and although they have the red sigil emblazoned on their hands, I do not trust them. They're not of Lambda or Lycos. Might as well be Silvers. Eventually I glimpse other utility vehicles and tumblers out the hatch. I don't know where we are, yet that bothers me less than the swelling sadness in my chest. The farther we ride and the more time I'm given to my thoughts, the worse the pain becomes. My finger on my wedding band. Io is still dead. She's not waiting for me at the end of this ride. Why did I survive when she did not? Why did I pull her feet so hard? Could she have lived too? My guts feel like a black hole. A terrible weight compresses my chest, and I ache to just jump from the tumbler into the path of a utility vehicle. Death is easy when you've already tried to find it. But I don't jump. I sit with Harmony and Ralph. Io wanted more for me. I clench the scarlet headband in my fist. The tunnel road widens slightly when we come to a checkpoint manned by dirty tin pots in worn-down gear. The electric gate isn't even charged. They let the tumbler ahead of us through after scanning a panel on its side. Then it's our turn, and I'm shifting uncomfortably in my seat along with Ralph. Harmony chuckles disdainfully as the gray-haired tin pot scans the side of the tumbler and waves us through the gate. We have a passcode. No brains in slaves. Mine tin pots are idiots. It's the gray elites or the obsidian monsters you watch out for, but they don't waste their time down here. I'm trying to convince myself that this all is not some gold trick, that Harmony and Ralph are not enemies when we pull off the main tunnel road into a cul-de-sac of utility warehouses, not much larger than the common. Harsh sulfur lights hang down from utility fixtures. Half the bulbs are burned out. One flickers on and off above a garage near a warehouse marked with a queer symbol done in strange paint. We stare into the garage. The door closes, and Harmony motions for me to get out of the tumbler. "Home sweet home," she says. "Now time to meet Dancer." Chapter 8. Dancer. Dancer looks through me. He's near enough my height, which is rare, but he's thick and terribly old. Maybe in his 40s. White squirrels from his temples. A dozen twin scars mark his neck, but I've seen their sort before. Pit viper bites. The arm on the left side of his body hangs limp. Nerve damage, but his eyes arrest me. They are brighter than most, swirling with patterns of true red, not rust red. He has a fatherly smile. "You must be wondering who we are," Dancer says gently. He's big, but his voice is easy. 8 reds are with him, all men except for Harmony. And they watch him with adoring eyes. All miners, I think, each with the scarred, strong hands of our kind. They move with the grace of our people. No doubt some were jumpers and boasters, as we call those who run along the walls and perform the flips at dances. Any hell divers. He's not wondering. Harmony takes time with the words, rolling them along her tongue. She squeezes Dancer's hand as she passes around him to look at me. "Bloody damn runt pegged it an hour ago." "Ah." Dancer smiles softly at her. "Of course he did. Otherwise Ares wouldn't have asked us to risk extracting him here. Do you know where here is, Darrow?" "It doesn't matter," I murmur. I look around at the walls, the men, the swaying lights. Everything is so cold, so dirty. What matters is... I fail to finish my own sentence. A thought of Io severs my voice. "What matters is that you want something from me." "Yes, that matters," says Dancer. His hand touches my shoulder. "But that can wait. I'm surprised you're standing. The wounds on your back are sullied. You'll need anti-bac and skin res to stop the scarring." "Scars don't matter," I say. I stare at the 2 blood drops that trickle from my shirt tail to the floor. My wounds reopened when I climbed from the grave. Io is dead, yes? Yes, she is. We couldn't save her, Darrow. "Why not?" I ask. "We just couldn't." "Why not?" I repeat. I glare up at him, glare at his followers, and hiss the words one by one. "You saved me. You could have saved her. She is the one you would have wanted, the bloody damn martyr. She cared about all this. Or does Ares only need sons, not daughters?" "Martyrs are a dime a dozen," Harmony yawns. I slip forward like a serpent and grab her around the throat. Waves of anger ripple through my face, till it goes numb, and I feel tears welling behind my eyes. Scorchers whine as they're primed around me. One jams into the back of my neck. I feel its cold muzzle. "Let her go," someone shouts. "Do it, boy." I spit at them, shake Harmony once and toss her aside. She crouches on the floor, hacking, and then a knife glimmers in her hand as she rises. Dancer stumbles between us. "Stop it, both of you. Darrow, please." "Your girl was a dreamer, boy." Harmony spits at me from Dancer's other side, as worthless as a flame over water. "Harmony, shut your bloody damn gob," Dancer barks. "Put those damn things away." The Scorchers go quiet. A tense silence follows, and he leans in close to speak with me. His voice lowers. My breath is fast. "Darrow, we're friends now. I can't answer for Ares, Why he couldn't help us save your girl. I am just one of his hands. I can't wash away the pain. I can't bring your wife back to you. But Darrow, look at me. Look at me, hell diver. I do. Right into those blood-red eyes. I can't do many things, but I can bring you justice. Dancer goes to Harmony and whispers something, likely telling her that we're to be friends. We won't be. But I promise not to choke her, and she promises not to stab me. She is quiet as she guides me from the others through cramped metal hallways to a small door opened by twisting a knob. Our feet echo over rusting walkways. The room is small and littered with tables and medical supplies. She has me strip and sit on one of the cold tables so she can clean my wounds. Her hands are not gentle as they scrub dirt from my lacerated back. I try not to scream. "You're a fool," she says as she scrapes rock out of a deep wound. I wheeze in pain and try to say something, but she jams her finger into my back, cutting me short. Dreamers like your wife are limited, little hell diver. She makes sure I don't speak. Understand that. The only power they have is in death. The harder they die, the louder their voice, the deeper the echoes. But your wife served her purpose. Her purpose? It sounds so cold, so distant and sad, as though my girl of smiles and laughter was meant for nothing but death. Harmony's words carve into me, and I stare at the metal grating before turning to look into her angry eyes. "Then what is your purpose?" I ask. She holds up her hands, caked with dirt and blood. "The same as yours, little hell diver, to make the dream come true." After Harmony scours my back of dirt and gives me a dose of anti-bac, she takes me to a room next to humming generators. The squat quarters are lined with cots and a liquid flush. She leaves me to it. The shower is a terrifying thing. Though it's gentler than the air of the flush, half the time I feel like I'm drowning. The other half I find a mixture of ecstasy and agony. I turn the heat nozzle till steam rises thick and pain lances my back. Clean. I dress in the strange garments they've set out for me. It's not a jumpsuit or homespun weave like I'm used to wearing. The material is sleek, elegant, like something someone of a different color would wear. Dancer comes into the room when I'm half-dressed. His left foot drags behind him, almost as useless as his left arm. Yet still he's an impressive man. Thicker than Barlow, handsomer than me despite his age, and the bite scars on his neck. He carries a tin bowl and sits on one of the cots, which creaks against his weight. "We saved your life, Darrow. So your life is ours. Do you not agree?" "My uncle saved my life," I say. "The drunk?" Dancer snorts. "The best thing he ever did was tell us about you. And he should have done that when you were a boy. But he kept you a secret. He's worked for us since before your father's death as an informer. You know? Is he hanged now? Now that he pulled you down? I should hope not. We gave him a jammer to shut off their ancient cameras. He did the work of a ghost. Uncle Neril. Head talk. But drunk as a fool. I always thought him weak. He still is. No strong man would drink like him or be so bitter. But he never earned the disdain I gave him. Yet why did he not save Theo? You act like my uncle bloody damn owed you, I say. He owes his people. People? I laugh at the term. There is family, there is clan. There may even be township and mine, but people? People? And you act as though you're my representative, as though you have a right to my life. But you're just a fool, all you sons of Ares. My voice is withering in its condescension. Fools who can do nothing but blow things up, like children kicking pit vipers' nests in rage. That's what I want to do. I want to kick. to lash out. That's why I insult him. That's why I spit on the suns, even though I have no real cause to hate them. Dancer's handsome face curls into a tired smile, and it's only then that I realize how feeble his dead arm really is, thinner than his muscular right arm, bent like a flower's root. But despite the withered limb, there's a twisted menace to Dancer, a less obvious sort than that in Harmony. It comes out when I laugh at him, when I scorn him and his dreams. Our informants exist to feed us information and to help us find the outliers so we can extract the best of Red from the mines. So you can use us? Dancer smiles tightly and picks up the bowl from the cart. We will play a game to see if you are one of these outliers, Darrow. If you win, I will take you to see something few Laurids have seen. Laurids. I've never heard the term before. And if I lose, then you are not an outlier, and the Golds win yet again. I flinch at the notion. He holds out a bowl and explains the rules. There are 2 cards in the bowl. One bears the Reaper's scythe, the other bears a lamb. Pick the scythe and you lose. Pick the lamb and you win. Except I notice his voice fluctuate when he says this last bit. This is a test, which means there's no element of luck to it. It must then be measuring my intelligence, which means there is a kink. The only way the game could test my intelligence is if the cards are both scythes. That's the singular variable that could be altered. Simple. I stare into Dancer's handsome eyes. It is a rigged game. I'm used to these, and usually I follow the rules, just not this time. I'll play. I reach into the bowl and pull free a card, taking care that only I can see its face. It's a scythe. Dancer's eyes never leave mine. I win, they say. He reaches for the card to see its face, but I shove it into my mouth before he can take hold of it. He never sees what I drew. Dancer watches me chew on the paper. I swallow and pull the remaining card from the bowl and toss it at him. A scythe. The lamb card simply looked too good not to eat, I say. Perfectly understandable. The red in his eyes twinkles, and he sets the bowl aside. Warmth of character returns to him, as if he'd never been a menace. Do you know why we call ourselves sons of Ares, Darrow? To the Romans, Mars was the god of war, a god of military glory, defense of the hearth and home, honorable and all. But Mars is a fraud. He is a romanticized version of the Greek god, Ares. Dancer lights a burner and hands a second one to me. The generators buzz freshly, and the burner fills me with a similar haze as its smoke curls through my lungs. Ares was a bastard, an evil patron of rage, violence, bloodlust, and massacre, he says. So by naming yourselves after him, you're pointing to the truth of things within the society. Cute. Something like that. The Golds would prefer for us to forget history, and most of us have, though we're never taught it. But I know how gold rose to power hundreds of years ago. They call it the conquering. They butchered any who contested them, massacred cities, continents. Not many years ago, they reduced an entire world to ash. Rhea, the Ash Lord, nuked it to oblivion. It was with Ares' wrath that they acted, and now we are the sons of that wrath. Are you Ares? I ask, voice hushed. Worlds. They've destroyed worlds. But Rhea is so much farther out from Earth than Mars. It's one of Saturn's moons, I think. Why would they nuke a world all the way out there? No, I'm not Ares, he answers. But you belong to him. I belong to no one but Harmony and my people. I'm like you, Darrow, born to a clan of earth diggers, miners from the colony Tyros, only I know more of the world. He frowns at my impatient expression. You think me a terrorist? I am not. No? I ask. He leans back and takes a drag on his burner. Imagine there was a table covered with fleas, he explains. The fleas would jump and jump to heights unknown. Then a man came along and upturned a glass jar over the fleas. The fleas jumped and hit the top of the jar and could go no further. Then the man removed the jar, and yet the fleas did not jump higher than they had grown accustomed because they believed there to still be a glass ceiling. He breathes out smoke. I see his eyes glow through it, like the ember tip of his burner. We are the fleas who jump high. Now let me show you just how high. Dancer takes me down a rickety corridor to a cylindrical metal lift. It's a rusty thing, heavy, and it squeals as we rise steadily upward. You should know that your wife didn't die in vain, Darrow. The Greens who help us hijacked the broadcast. We hacked in and played the true version of every HC on our planet. The planet, the clans of the 100,000 mining colonies, and those in the cities have heard your wife's song. You tell tall tales, I grumble. There aren't half that many colonies. He ignores me. They heard her song, and they call her Persephone already. I flinch and look over at him. No, that is not her name. She is not their symbol. She doesn't belong to these brigands with trumped-up names. Her name is Io, I sneer. And she belongs to Lycos. She belongs to her people now, Darrow. And they remember the old tales of a goddess stolen from her family by the god of death. Yet even when she was stolen, death could not forever keep her. She was the maiden, the goddess of spring, destined to return after each winter. Beauty incarnate can touch life, even from the grave. That's how they think of your wife. She's not coming back, I say, to end the conversation. It is futile debating with this man. He just rolls on. Our lift comes to a halt and we exit into a small tunnel. Following it, we come to another lift of sleeker metal, better maintained. 2 suns guard it with scorches. Soon, we're going upward again. She will not come back, but her beauty, her voice will echo until the end of time. She believed in something beyond herself, and her death gave her voice power it didn't have in life. She was pure, like your father. We, you and I. He touches my chest with the back of his index finger. Are dirty. We are made for blood. Rough hands, dirty hearts. We are lesser creatures in the grand scheme of things. But without us men of war, no one, except those of Lycos, would hear Io's ding. Without our rough hands, the dreams of the pure hearts would never be built. Cut to the point, I interrupt. You want me for something. You tried to die before, Dancer says. Do you want to do so again? I want. What do I want? I want to kill Augustus, I say, remembering the cold golden face as it commanded my wife's death. It was so distant, so uncaring. He will not live while Io lies dead. I think of Magistrate Paganus and Ugly Dan. I will kill them too. Vengeance then, he sighs. You said you could give it to me. I said I would give you justice. Vengeance is an empty thing, Darrow. It will fill me. Help me kill the Arch-Governor. Darrow, you set your sights too low. The lift picks up speed. My ears pop, up and up and up. How far does this lift rise? The Arch-Governor is merely one of the most important goals on Mars. Dancer hands me a pair of tinted glasses. I put them on tentatively as my heart tugs in my chest. We're going to the surface. You must widen your gaze. The lift stops, the doors open, and I am blind. Behind the glasses, my pupils constrict to adjust to the light. When at last I'm able to open my eyes, I expect to see a massive glowing bulb or a flare, some source to the light. But I see nothing. The light is ambient from some distant, impossible source. Some human instinct in me knows this power, knows this primal origin of life. The sun, daylight. My hands tremble, and I step with Dancer from the elevator. He does not speak. I doubt I would hear him even if he did. We stand in a room of strange makings, unlike any I've imagined. There is a substance underfoot, hard but neither metal nor rock. Wood. I know it from the HC pictures of Earth. A carpet of 1,000 hues spreads over it, soft under my feet. The walls around are of red wood, carved with trees and deer. Soft music plays in the distance. I follow the tune, deeper into the room, toward the light. I find a bank of glass, a large wall that lets the sun in to shine across the length of a squat black instrument with white EZ, which plays itself in a tall room with 3 walls and a long bank of glass windows. Everything is so smooth. Beyond the instrument, beyond the glass, lies something I don't understand. I stumble toward the window, toward the light, and fall to my knees, pressing my hands against the barrier. I moan one long note. "Now you understand," Dancer says. "We are deceived." Beyond the glass sprawls a city. Chapter 9. The Lie. The city is one of spires, parks, rivers, gardens, and fountains. It is a city of dreams, a city of blue water and green life, on a red planet that is supposed to be as barren as the cruelest desert. This is not the Mars they show us on the HC. This is not a place unfit for man. It is a place of lies, wealth, and immense abundance. I gasp at the grotesquerie. Men and women fly. They shimmer gold and silver. Those are the only colors I see in the sky. Their grav boots carry them about like gods. The technology so much more graceful than the clumsy grav boots our keepers wear in the mines. A young man soars past my window, his skin burnished, his hair fluttering loosely behind him as he carries 2 bottles of wine toward a nearby garden spire. He's drunk and is wobbling through the air. Reminds me of a time I saw a drill boy's air system break down in his fly suit. He gasped for oxygen as he died, twitching and dancing. This gold laughs like a fool and does a mirthful spin. 4 girls, not at all older than me, fly after him in a merry hunt, giddy and giggling. Their tight dresses seem to be made of liquid and drip around their young curves. They look my age in a way, but seem so bloody foolish. I do not understand. Beyond them, ships flit through the air along beacon-lit avenues. Small ships, rip wings as Dancer calls them, escort the most intricate of the air yachts. On the ground, I see men and women moving through wide avenues. There are automobiles, color-coded lamps along the lower levels, yellow, blue, orange, green, pink. 100 shades of a dozen colors that form a hierarchy so complex, so alien, I scarcely think it a human concept. The buildings through which the paths wind are huge, some of glass, some of stone, but many remind me of those I've seen on the HC, those buildings of the Romans made this time for gods instead of man. Beyond the city, which stretches nearly as far as I can see, Mars's red and barren surface is scarred with the green of grass and struggling woods. The sky above is blue, stained with stars. The terraforming is complete. This is the future. It should not be this way for generations. My life is a lie. So many times has Octavia Alun told us of Lycos that we are the pioneers of Mars, that we are the brave souls who sacrifice for the race, that soon our toils for humanity will be over. Soon, the softer colors will join us once Mars is habitable. But they have already joined us. Earth has come to Mars, and we pioneers were left below, slaving, toiling, suffering to create and maintain the foundation of this empire. We are, as Io always said, the society's slaves. Dancer sits in a chair behind me and waits till I can speak. He says a word and the windows darken. I can still see the city, but the sun no longer blinds my eyes. Behind us, the squat instrument called a piano whispers a dreary melody. They told us we were man's only hope, I say quietly. That Earth was overcrowded, that all the pain, all the sacrifice was for mankind. Sacrifice is good, obedience the highest virtue. The laughing gold has reached the nearby spire. He surrenders to the girls and their kisses. Soon they will drink their wine and have their amusement. Dancer tells me how it is. Earth ain't overcrowded, Daryl. 700 years back, they expanded to their moon, Luna. Because it is so difficult to launch spacecraft through Earth's gravity and atmosphere, Luna became Earth's port through which it colonized the moons and planets of the solar system. 700 years? I gasp, feeling suddenly very stupid. On Luna. Efficiency and order became the chief concern. In space, every set of lungs must have a purpose. So the first colors were gradually instituted and the reds were sent to Mars to gather the fuel for mankind. The mining colonies were established there since Mars has the highest concentration of helium-3, which is used to terraform the other worlds and moons. At least that wasn't a lie. Are they terraformed? The other moons and worlds? The small moons, yes. Most of the planets. Obviously not the gas giants. He sits in a chair. It was in the early stages of the colonization when the wealthy of Luna began to realize Earth was nothing more than a drain on their profits. Even as Luna colonized the solar system, they were taxed and owned by corporations and countries on Earth. But those same entities could not enforce their ownership. So Luna rebelled, the Golds and their society against the countries of Earth. Earth fought back, and Earth lost. That was the conquering. Economics turned Luna into the power and port of the solar system, and the society began to change into what it is today, an empire built on red backs. I watch the colors move about below. They are small, hard to distinguish from our height, and my eyes are not used to seeing so far or seeing so much light. Reds were sent to Mars 500 years ago. The other colors came to Mars about 300 years back. While our ancestors still toiled beneath the surface, they lived in the paraterraformed cities, cities with bubbles of atmosphere over them, while the rest of the world terraformed slowly. Now, the bubbles are coming down, and the world is fit for any man. High Reds live as maintenance workers, sanitation, grain harvesters, assembly workers. Low Reds are those of us born beneath the surface, the truest slaves. In the cities, the Reds who dance disappear. Those who voice their thoughts vanish. Those who bow their heads and accept the rule of the society and their place in society, as all colors do, live on with relative freedom. He exhales a cloud of smoke. I feel outside my body, as though I'm watching the colonization of worlds, the transformation of the human species through eyes that are not my own. The gravity of history drew my people into slavery. We are the bottom of the society, the dirt. Io always preached something of the like, though she never knew the truth. If she had known this, how much more passionately would she have spoken? This existence is worse than she ever could have imagined. It is not hard to understand the conviction with which the sons of Ares fight. 500 years? I shake my head. This is our bloody damn planet. Through sweat and toil it was made so, he agrees. Then what will it take to take it back? Blood? Dancer smiles at me like a township alley cat. There's a beast behind this man's fatherly smiles. Io was right. It comes to violence. She was the voice like my father. So what am I to be? The avenging hand. I cannot grasp that someone so pure, so full of love, would want me to play this part. But she did. I think of my father's last dance. I think of my mum, Leanna, Kieran, Lauren, Io's parents, Uncle Nero, Barlow, everyone. I love. I know how hard they will live and how quickly they will die. And I now know why. I look down at my hands. They are what Dancer called them. Cut, scarred, burned things. When Io kissed them, they grew gentle for love. Now that she is gone, they grow hard for hate. I clench them into fists till my knuckles are white as ice caps. What is my mission? Chapter 10. The Carver. I grew up with a quick-smiling girl of 15, so in love with her young husband that when he was burned in the mines and his wound festered, she sold her body to a gamma in return for antibiotics. She was stronger than her husband. When he grew well and discovered what had been done on his behalf, he killed the gamma with a sling blade snuck from the mines. Easy to guess what happened after that. Her name was Lana, and she was Uncle Nero's daughter. She lives no longer. I think of her as I watch the HC in what Harmony called the penthouse, as Dancer makes preparations. I flip through the many channels with a twitch of my finger. Even that gamma had a family. He dug like me. He was born like me, went through the flush like me, and he never saw the sun either. He was just given a little packet of medicine by the society. And look at the effect. How clever of them. How much hate they create between people who should be kin. But if the clans knew what luxury exists on the surface, if they knew how much had been stolen from them, they would feel the hatred I feel. They would unite. My clan is a hot-tempered breed. What would a rebellion of theirs look like? Probably like Dago's burner, burning hot but fast, till all was ash.